Okay, so a bounded sequence is just a sequence where there's a number that every term in the sequence is bigger or smaller than. So for example, 1 over n squared, uh, it looks like this, and you can see that each term in the sequence is getting smaller and smaller. So you can prove that it's always getting smaller with this. So you take 1 over n squared and 1 over n plus 1 squared, because that's your term, and that's the next term in the sequence. So because 1 over n plus 1 squared is always less than 1 over n squared, that means that it's always getting smaller, because each subsequent term is less than the term before it. So, like for example, 1/4 is greater than 1/9 because 1/4 is the second term, 1/9 is the third term. So it's always monotonic decreasing. Monotonic means it's always going in one direction, and decreasing means it's getting smaller with every term. So if you were to have a sequence like n squared, you can see it's monotonic increasing because the subsequent term is always greater than the term before it. So to actually find the bounds, well, one of them is always going to be your first term if it's monotonic, because a sub 1 is always the first term in a sequence, and if it's always moving in one direction, getting bigger or getting smaller, then that first term is going to be one of your bounds. So for this one, your upper bound is 1, because it's your first term and everything else in the sequence is smaller than it. So your upper bound for this one is 1. And then to find your other bound, you take the limit. So the limit, as n approaches infinity, of 1 over n squared is equal to 0, so that is your lower bound. Now for something like this, where it's always increasing, your lower bound is your first term, and that's just 1. Your lower bound is 1. And then your upper bound, when you take the limit, it gives you infinity, so that doesn't exist. There is no upper bound. And that would be called an unbounded sequence.